Hi, this is Shawn from One with Nature, and that was a ceremony I was fortunate enough to be able to record through the window of a 350-year-old Zen Buddhist temple. It's called Hong Fu Temple, and it's at the top of a large rocky hill in Guiyang, China. And Guiyang means precious sun, because the sun rarely makes an appearance here. It's perpetually cloudy and misty. I have not one picture nor one video that shows the sun shining upon this land. You can see the lines of people here, hundreds of people, and they're waiting to be told their fortune by Buddhist monks, which come down from the temple and they sit in little buildings. And the people go in one by one, and the monks will do face reading and give suggestions to the person about their diet, and then they'll go ahead and tell their fortune for the coming new year. Here is a plaza in Guiyang. Thousands upon thousands of these tile stones make up the floor of this plaza. As you can see, it's once again cloudy, overcast, generally blah. Even the seats on the city buses are depressed from lack of sunlight. They need some D3. But the people were very nice to me. Many of these people have never seen a foreigner before in their life. So they will literally stop whatever they're doing and they'll just stare at you until you walk out of their line of sight. And underneath this plaza, there is, of all things, an underground Walmart. And I went in. So let's take a look, shall we? So everywhere that I traveled in China, herbs were given the best presentation space. Great lighting, great display cases, and they have some really top-notch facilities for producing herbal products in China. And these employees at this Walmart were very enthusiastic when responding to questions about the different herbs and the quality that they were and how you use them. And there was a small group of about 4 or 5 Chinese girls who worked at this Walmart. They're standing behind me as I'm holding the camera. And they would keep tapping us on the shoulder and then run away. And you turn around and they'd be laughing. It's probably very rare to see Americans in their subterranean retail store. But as you can see from this wall of herbs, they take the whole herb thing seriously. They had red ginseng, of course, white ginseng, eucommia bark, tons of different herbs. Great selection. And the reason it looks like I'm jammed up so close to everybody is because I'm jammed up so close to everybody. There's no room to move. Chinese people were either shopping or they were trying to see what we were up to, what was going on over there. And then in the front of this Walmart, they really pull out all the stops to display not only red ginseng, American ginseng, but also cordyceps mushroom. And everywhere I went in eastern China, there was cordyceps mushroom for sale. And wouldn't you know, out of all the pictures and video that I took while in China, this Walmart was the only this Walmart is the only place I've traveled in the world where they ran up and told me to stop taking pictures. Why? I don't know. I was just taking pictures. The guy runs up, he's waving his arms, he's yelling at me. I just said whatever, and I walked away. So our trip to a Chinese Walmart would not be complete without visiting the meat department. So if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, you're going to want to skip ahead. You probably don't want to see this. Yes, those are animal heads, dried out, flattened like a pancake and ready for sale, along with looks like dried chickens and parts of animals. I don't even know what the animals were. I don't know what the parts were, but there was a lot of them, and they're all for sale. So this video is about red ginseng. And what is red ginseng anyways? Well, there's a lot of information out there about red ginseng. It's one of the most studied herbs in the world. If I covered all of it, this video would be about 10 hours long, and that would be part 1. So I'll just go over the basics and things that are of interest to me. And we're going to be talking about Korean red ginseng mainly. The red ginseng you buy and use starts off as a fresh root. Now here's a picture. This is taken in Korea. These are fresh 6-year-old ginseng roots being pulled out of the ground by the special machinery, and the roots are collected and sorted by hand. They take this very seriously. The ginseng is sorted by its size, its shape, its quality. Does it have any marks? Was it broken when it was pulled out of the ground? And then one common method is to separate them into 3 basic grades: good, earth, and heaven. Or, as I like to call them, expensive, oh my God, and back up the Brinks truck. Now this fresh ginseng is air dried, and if it's not going to be treated with heat at all, then it will remain white ginseng, and that's how it's sold. And people will buy the fresh or the dried white ginseng roots because it's not as stimulating or warming as the red ginseng. Now, again, here's some pics that I took of white ginseng for sale in a huge outdoor market in Seoul, South Korea. It's called Namdaemun Market. And people will buy these, and they'll either use them as they are without steaming them or heating them. And then there are some people who would take these white ginseng roots home, and they will heat treat them themselves in their own house to save money. If the white ginseng roots at the factory are going to be set aside for heat treatment and sold as red ginseng, then eventually these roots will be heated to around 200 to 212 degrees. And here's a little bit of cool info for you. Ginseng, both American and Asian, contain, among many other properties and chemical constituents, something known as ginsenosides. Dozens of different types of ginsenosides will exist in just one high-quality root. And these ginsenosides are of special interest to researchers because they found out that different levels of heat will produce higher or lower concentrations of certain ginsenosides. And over the years, all of these different types of ginsenosides have been and still are being researched for just what that particular ginsenoside will do once it's inside your body. So as a researcher, if you know which one of these dozens of ginsenosides has been proven to target and help alleviate certain health issues that a person may face, then you can just punch in the appropriate temperature. You can treat a batch of ginseng roots, and you've just created a product custom made for certain types of health conditions. I'll give you an example. Instead of treating with heat red ginseng to 212 degrees, let's say a researcher would heat treat ginseng to 240 degrees or even higher. Well, now it contains higher levels of a certain ginsenoside that wasn't there before. And that ginsenoside will help treat, we'll just call it health condition XYZ. Okay? But if you take that same root and you only heat it to 228 degrees, let's say, that root will no longer help with condition XYZ. But now it will help treat health condition ABC. Okay? So researchers have gone up and down the temperature range, and they found out what level of heat applied for what amount of time will produce what levels of these ginsenosides. And they meticulously record all of this, and with high quality roots, you can consistently predict what's going to happen in that root at any given temperature range. And why is it called red ginseng? Well, the white roots turn from their original white color to a dark reddish color because there are sugars in high amounts in the roots, and these sugars caramelize under the high heat. And the heat also increases the warming and stimulating action of the original white ginseng root. And researchers have taken red ginseng and they've just done everything to it. It's been heated, smashed, extruded. It's been heated and extruded at the same time. It's been exposed to different types of acids. It's been fractured, extracted. Compounds have been isolated. It's been scanned, tested. Everything about that root has been explored, and they are still finding new information about ginseng root. There is a lot of money to be made from red ginseng. One Korean ginseng manufacturer sells a container. It is 1 pound 5 ounces of their finest red ginseng product, and it costs $5,500. And people will buy it like crazy. They will spend months of their salary to get a container of this stuff. And with sales of at least $750 million yearly, and that's just for one Korean ginseng company, you can be sure that there's a lot of competition and that the growing of ginseng, especially in Korea, is down to a science. Plots of land are scouted out ahead of time. The soil is tested hundreds of different ways to make sure that that soil meets minimum requirements. Then the land is prepared for 2 years before any ginseng is even planted. Then the ginseng grows for 6 years, and it'll be collected, as you saw in the picture up above. And then that plot of land cannot be used for growing any more ginseng for at least 10 years, because the ginseng sucks the life right out of the soil and into its vibrant little roots. And you are the beneficiary of all of this planning and preparation. That is, if red ginseng is appropriate for you. But it's not appropriate for everyone, as we will see in a bit. So when a person signs a contract to allow ginseng to be planted on their land, that farmer or the owner of the land is looking at an 18-year total period of time, a commitment, just to grow roots that are only going to be 6 years old when harvested. And here is a Korean red ginseng shop in Namdaemun Market. Namdaemun is the oldest, the largest market of its kind in Seoul, Korea. It's huge. And we did the old One with Nature ambush, and we dojo stormed this poor guy's shop. Nice guy. The shop was very narrow. My dad would say, it's so small, you got to go outside to change your mind. Very narrow, very small, packed. Every square inch was packed with something. They made every space count. I don't think this guy quite knew what to think of all of us, but he answered all of our questions graciously. And he not only had tons of red ginseng, a fortune in red ginseng. As you can see, it's stacked to the ceiling. But he also had many medicinal mushrooms for sale as well. He had liquid extracts of red ginseng. Nice guy. And this is actually a small shop. There are shops in Namdaemun which have an absolute fortune in red ginseng. Big shops with red ginseng just stacked to the ceiling. So is red ginseng for everybody? No, but that could change over the span of your life. Herbs are like people. They all have different personalities. And some people we get along with right away. Some people we will never get along with. And some people we may not like at first, but then 3, 6, 9 months later, maybe a year later, we'll meet up with them again accidentally. We're talking to them, and we say to ourselves, well, they're not such a bad person after all. But did they change, or did we change over those months? Well, it's hard to say. So while red ginseng may not be suitable for you right now, there may well be a time when red ginseng could be very useful for you. You just have to see how you change over time. So let's talk about some characteristics of who should not use red ginseng. Let's go over that first. If you have a person who is a type A personality, no. If they have red, ruddy cheeks, dry hair, dry eyes, dry skin, dry everything, no. If they're bursting with energy, okay, they're the life of the party, they're always the loudest voice in the room, no. And this personality type, not always, but it's not uncommon that they will see the world in black and white. They hold grudges. They will answer questions with an emphatic yes or no. Now, this personality type is a go-getter. They take no prisoners. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes, this personality type will like their meat cooked rare or blue rare. If they are in a relationship, they can often be their own worst enemy in matters of the heart, because if things are not progressing fast enough for them, they will push the issue. And you cannot negotiate desire. Either it's there or it's not. But that will not stop them. They will plunge right in and expect the other person to do the same, or else they get very frustrated. And there's one more type of person who should not take red ginseng. And I'm talking the good stuff here, the real stuff, not the watered down junk in so-called energy drinks, but a real, true red ginseng root or extract. And this is a difficult decision to make, and I hope you never have to make it. This would be a man or a woman who are in their mid to late 70s, they're in their 80s, okay? They were strong, capable, mentally and physically tough. They built and created things with their hands. These are people who were iconoclasts. If there was a job to get done and everybody else said it can't be done, they did it. They were a groundbreaker. If it's a guy we're talking about, he's an alpha male before anybody knew what an alpha male was. Or if it's a woman, maybe she was a very strong personality, very strong woman. She held her family together maybe when the husband was away during a war, or he worked out of state or something. And this is the person that held a family of 4, 6, 10 people together during the tough times, the lean years. When this person is winding down their life, okay, giving them red ginseng gives them a power they may not have had for years or decades. But physically, they cannot do what they used to be able to, and it will frustrate them immensely to suddenly have the power to relive the glory years, but not to have the physical vehicle capable of doing what they once took for granted. This can be incredibly damaging to their morale. And if you are ever in this situation, you have to decide whether or not to give them a powerful herb like real, true, high-quality red ginseng. Now, people who possibly could use red ginseng, the key word here is depletion, okay? They will be cold all the time. It will be a hot summer night, 88 degrees, and they've got 2 blankets on. Their voice will be frail, okay? They'll walk with their shoulders stooped and their head down. They do not like being in crowds because to be around that many people drains their energy levels. They can't handle it. They cannot sleep through the night. Their sleep is being murdered from lack of energy because it takes energy to sleep, and they don't have any. Think about that and how frustrating that would be. They will have a pale complexion. They will have sometimes low morale, from low energy. They may be easy to push around by others, okay, because they lack self-confidence, because they don't have the energy. They've just come out of a long-term health draining issue. Their core energy has been depleted. They are mineral depleted, and they may have been mineral depleted for years. This person could possibly benefit from using red ginseng for a couple of weeks or a month until their core energy is built back up. And then you withdraw it from them and see how they're doing. And depletion is a condition that traditional Chinese medicine takes action to correct. Whereas in the United States, authors on fasting and natural medicine, I'm talking Tilden, Shelton, William Hay, Robert Jackson, many others, were dealing with excess consumption for a large percentage of the people that came to them for help or needed help. We're really dealing with excess consumption, not depletion. Fasting will help to correct somewhat, but when you have a person who is depleted, do you think fasting will correct that depletion or make it worse? Fasting requires energy. So, red ginseng is great for immune support, mental performance, increasing a person's core energy. It's a mood elevator. It's a libido booster. It provides newfound vitality. It builds qi, or life force, within the person who uses it. The list of ginseng's abilities would be very long indeed. But as expensive as ginseng is, how do we get the most from using it? Well, we've already covered one very obvious way, and that's to make sure that it's appropriate for you. So if it is appropriate for you, then one way to get the most out of red ginseng is to take a spice along with red ginseng. Doing this will accelerate red ginseng's effects and allow you to use less red ginseng but get better results than just taking red ginseng by itself. Ginger is a good spice to use with red ginseng. This is a picture of a field of ginger growing in Jamaica. And when I was in Jamaica, it was obvious that ginger was very popular. I talked to a lot of people who recommended the use of ginger, and it's one of Jamaica's biggest exports. But other spices will work as well. Spicy herbs move qi through the body. Red ginseng is qi. Spices will accelerate and increase the power of red ginseng. In Asia, wealthy people will spend thousands of dollars for premium ginseng root. This picture is of a 100-year-old ginseng root, and somebody paid $250,000 US for this root. And what do you do with $250,000 ginseng root? Well, if you have a large or respected Chinese restaurant, let's say you have a Chinese restaurant and you're the owner, you will display this root so that everybody can see it when they come into your restaurant, and it's good for basically social proof. It shows that you are successful and that you have spent a lot of money on this ginseng root and that you know the power of ginseng because you were willing to spend this much money on this root, okay? But there's another thing that you can do with a ginseng root. And what these wealthy people will do is they will fast on chrysanthemum tea, Zhuhua tea, for 3 days. And on the third day, the ginseng root that they paid huge amounts of money for will have been simmering in hot water in a double boiler. Very carefully. Remember, this root costs thousands of dollars. And this double boiler is made just for ginseng roots. And the root will become soft and supple. The nutrients of the root are leaching out into the water all through the day. And the root is then sliced into thin sections. And this person that paid, let's say they paid $150,000 for a premium red ginseng root. All right. They will eat these thin slices after 3 days of fasting, and they will drink the water that the ginseng root has been simmering in. And they say that the power, the chi from this premium root will fill their body, and that energy will last for 1 full year. So that about wraps up this video. This video was supposed to be Jamaica, Herbs of the Caribbean, Part 2, focusing on the Libido herbs. But I'll be honest with you. After making the first Jamaica video, I got all Jamaica'd out, and I just needed a break. So now we have the red ginseng video in its place. And next will be, hopefully, the Libido video with Jamaica, Herbs of the Caribbean, talking about the different Libido herbs. But first, I'm going to dedicate this video to Mr. Kim. Mr. Kim was the taxi driver who took me and my friends from the Seoul airport to our hotel. I had only been in Korea for less than 30 minutes when I met Mr. Kim. I had flown from Ohio to Atlanta, left Atlanta airport, flew to Seoul, South Korea. For 22 hours, I was either sitting on an airplane or sitting in an airport waiting to get onto an airplane. When I finally arrived in Seoul, South Korea, I was exhausted. Mr. Kim comes up to us, says, "Do you need a taxi?" We say yes. We negotiate a price. We load all of our luggage into the back of his broken down minivan and we start flying down the road. We're about 5 minutes down the road. Mr. Kim starts pulling out packages of red ginseng extract, and he starts giving them out to us. And I'm sitting there. It's 10 o'clock at night, Seoul time. I'm exhausted. We're flying down some highway in South Korea, and I'm staring at this package of red ginseng extract. I'm blown away because getting my hands on some Korean red ginseng was at the top of my list. And I didn't even have to go looking for it. It found me because of Mr. Kim's generosity. Mr. Kim insisted we take the red ginseng. This guy would not take no for an answer. And as we're flying down this highway in the dark, Mr. Kim turns around to look at us in the back of the taxi. He takes his hand off the steering wheel, he puts it up in the air like he's making a muscle, and he says, "Ginseng make you strong." And the taxi is weaving all over the road. Cars are flying around us, blowing their horn. Mr. Kim isn't paying attention to his driving. He's looking at us in the back seat. And I thought, so this is how it's all going to end. First, a gift of ginseng, then flaming death in a strange land. But we didn't die. I asked my friend the next day what he thought about Mr. Kim's gift of ginseng, and he said, "I've been to over 20 countries, and I've never seen a taxi driver so generous to strangers." And although I thought about opening up that packet of red ginseng and drinking it many times during my travels in Korea and China, I held fast. And now, Mr. Kim's gift sits on my desk, a reminder of the generosity of a stranger and the power of red ginseng.
Today I'm in Mexico. Mamie.
Exotic Mayan fruit.
If a hurricane is headed your way, this is the last place you want to be.
Guanabana. Guanabana.
The most magical herb shop I've ever visited, literally. Every flower, leaf, and root, potion, and product is here to bring you love, luck, money, and more.
That's it. I'm not going to drink. All right, I'm going to have one sip. That can
So take the plunge and come along for the ride. As one with nature goes to Mexico.